So the latest abomination of a remake, The Crow. Yeah, this is yet another movie that was kind of doomed from the start. Now, I don't really have any personal connection to the original Crow movie. I know a lot of people got pissed off at this remake because Brandon Lee died while making the original film back in 1994, but really, this is what we're going to get upset about, especially the fact that there were already 3 sequels to the first movie. Yes, really, 3. And they're all varying degrees of crap. Whichever one you want to look at. City of Angels, Salvation, Wicked Prayer, I don't really care, they all fucking suck. And the second movie, City of Angels, was written by David S. Goyer, who you basically call if you want to make a shitty, dark comic book film. So, yeah, there wasn't much hype around this film. In fact, it was getting trashed on the internet, and that shows in the box office results, making about $5 million in its opening weekend domestically and almost nothing overseas. And something I do want to point out with the box office, though, is that Borderlands, in its 3rd weekend, has dropped all the way down to 15th. Yes, really, 15th. This weekend, it made $479,000. For a movie that cost $100 million. What's it at in total? I know I'm talking about a different movie here, but I'm kind of curious. I didn't actually look at this. It's at $22 million. Worldwide. $15 million domestically and almost $8 million internationally. For a movie that cost $100 million. I think we found flop of the year because this movie cost only $50 million. So even if we were to only make $10 million at the box office, it would still lose less money than Borderlands. So, the reason I haven't really been talking about the story yet is because this movie bored the shit out of me. I guess I should tell you the basic story if you didn't see the movie, because I'm assuming most people watching this video didn't see the movie, because most probably don't want to see the movie. The basic premise is a guy named Eric and his girlfriend are killed, and he is resurrected to get revenge on them so he can bring his girlfriend back to life. That's the basic story of this movie in a nutshell. I mean, there are some kind of complicated things that go on, but none of it's very interesting. Like, the villains who killed him and his girlfriend originally, they have no personality. Hell, our main lead has no personality. That's one of the main flaws of this movie, is that it entirely hinges on the romance between Eric and Shelley. And by the way, the actress who plays Shelley, I know this is a stage name, but it's F.K.A. Twigs. No, I'm not making that up. And then the lead is obviously played by Bill Skarsgård, and the main villain is played by Danny Huston, who's on his 3rd comic book film. If you'll recall, he played Major Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he was fake Ares in Wonder Woman. Not the greatest comic book movie roles so far, and this one definitely isn't helping the case, which is sad because he's actually a legitimately good actor. But he's given almost no screen time in this movie. He has maybe 5 minutes in this hour and 40-minute movie, or hour 45, or whatever the hell it is. But back to my point, this movie entirely hinges on the romance between Eric and Shelley. But the problem is that these actors have no chemistry whatsoever. The dialogue is the most basic shit. The actors, again, aren't given much direction, it seems like, because it seems like their acting on their own is fine. But again, they just don't have any chemistry with each other, so I have no reason to care. And it feels incredibly weird when he talks about how in love they were, because the way the movie is framed, it almost kind of makes it feel like this is one of those Disney 5-day romances. I mean, I'm sure more time passed between them getting out of the rehab facility and them being killed, but again, the way the movie is framed, it feels like it was just a few days. So again, I don't really feel anything for these characters when they're killed. And here's another problem, is the pacing. Because the entire crux of this movie is the death of these 2 characters and him coming back to life for revenge. They are not killed until 35 minutes into the movie, give or take. In this hour and 40-minute movie, they're not killed until 35 minutes, and he doesn't even begin his revenge plot for another, 10 minutes, or maybe 15. So little happens in this movie, yet it is incredibly slow. I don't understand how this is possible. I've seen this done multiple times before, where basically nothing happens, and yet somehow the movie is dragged out so long. But I still don't understand how you do something like this. There's a couple of other minor characters, like there's, I guess, Shelley's surrogate mother. They don't really explain her relationship to her that well. I guess I should explain the villain's plot before I talk about this character very briefly. And it's basically that the main villain made a deal with the devil so that he could gain immortal life as long as he sends innocent souls to hell. And this is told to us by somebody that Eric meets in the afterlife, whose name is Kronos. No, not that one. But here's the thing. I don't know who this Kronos guy is supposed to be. Hell, I had to look up this guy's name. I had to look him up on Wikipedia because I don't know if they ever said his name. I don't know if they said Kronos' name at all. I had to look it up to figure out what it is. Maybe they did say it and I was just so tapped out at that point that I couldn't give a shit. But he's the one who sends him back up. And the reason he does is because they're the ones sending innocent souls to hell, so it creates an imbalance between heaven and hell. To be fair, that's not a bad idea, but it's not taken advantage of. We only see this happen a couple of times, and it almost kind of feels like that's just... It almost kind of feels like that's a complete non sequitur, because the main plot is him going up to get revenge on them for killing him and his girlfriend. Them sending other souls to hell almost has nothing to do with the main plot of the film. And again, but the main problem with this movie is that it is so goddamn boring. And I wanted to talk about that other character who's, I guess, Shelley's surrogate mother or something. Again, they don't really explain the character very well. Or maybe she is her biological mother, but it's never explained well. She's in this movie for only a few minutes, and there is absolutely no point to this character. I guess she's the reason that the villain finds out about Eric's revenge plot. And why he's doing it, because he straight up tells his girlfriend's mother that he's going to kill the people who killed her and bring her back to life. Now, imagine you're in a scenario where where your wife, girlfriend, whatever, that they were murdered. And what do you think the first thing you're going to do is go up to their parent and tell them that you're going to bring them back to life by killing the people who killed her? Because that's not going to make them feel better, that's only going to make them feel worse, and that's exactly what happens, because this is a promise you might not be able to keep. For all he knows, Kronos is just screwing with him and just making him kill these guys, and then he's not going to keep his end of the bargain. For all he knows, he's actually making a deal with the devil just like the rest did. Because we don't actually see the devil that they made the deal with, unlike something like Ghost Rider, where you did see him make the deal with the devil. These ones, you never see it. The only person you ever see in any of the afterlives is this Kronos guy. And again, I don't know who exactly he's supposed to be. Is he supposed to be like the guy... He's supposed to be like in between heaven and hell, where I guess people in limbo go? It's, again, nothing in this movie is explained. And I keep harping on this main problem, that this movie is boring as hell. It is so goddamn boring. I could not... The first 35 minutes or so, where it's just him and Shelley, like they're trying to build up their relationship... I respect them for trying to build up this relationship because, again, it's supposed to be the crux of this movie's plot. But holy hell, these actors don't have chemistry, their dialogue is lame, and it's just... I started to tap out so quick. Like, the first 10 minutes, I had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. I eventually figured it out, but it took way too long before I figured out what was going on in this movie. The action is nothing special. Actually, it's pretty bad. It's not shot great, and the choreography is kind of lame. There's a fight in an opera house where people are literally shooting at this guy, and nobody who works at that place, no security or anything, thinks to evacuate the place, where there's this guy who's trying to kill someone in there. security is literally shooting the shit out of him, or not security, it's the people who work for the villains, shooting the crap out of this guy, and nothing's happening. They don't think to evacuate at all. They just sit there watching the opera. And again, this fight isn't very good. It's just him getting shot and taking it, and then him just stabbing the rest of them. It's nothing special to watch. And it's really the only action sequence in this movie. There's a couple of tiny skirmishes that last about 15 seconds. Hell, the climax with the villain is more of an anti-climax, where the ending is just he throws both of them out a window. They land in... I'm just going to call it limbo, because it's not hell exactly, but it's like halfway there. And he doesn't even really do anything. There's no fight that takes place or anything. He basically just sends him to hell right then and there. And he does that in exchange for his girlfriend's soul, and essentially he goes to hell, and his girlfriend comes back to life, but we don't see him go to hell. We see him in this little... The place he's in is essentially like a broken down, abandoned train station or something. And we don't see him go anywhere from there, so is that supposed to be hell? It's at least his personal hell. It's not explained. And the only thing that relates him to the original character is the crow name and the god-awful CGI crow that keeps following him around. Like, they put up several close-ups of this goddamn crow. Like, they are proud of this effect, and it is a really bad CGI effect, and it's just a bird. How do you make this effect so bad? Most of the effects in this movie are pretty bad, including one time where he shoots a guy in a car, and it's got like the cartoonish blood splatter on the windows, or not the windows, the windshield, and it looks so fake. Most of the blood in this movie looks pretty fake for an R-rated movie. This movie is just pathetic. It's not woke trash like a lot of other movies have been. It's just boring, and it's so goddamn tedious to sit through, and there's absolutely no reason for this to exist. This is definitely not getting a sequel, and thank God for that. I'm giving The Crow an F. So that's all I got, and I'll see you next time. Bye.